we all go into relationships with something to add to the relationship. We all go into relationships imperfectly wanting the best out of them. We desire for things to go smoothly and well, but the reality is we have all gone through something. We have all overcome something, and a lot of us deal with different, unique, dynamic levels of trauma. We do. A lot of people do. Even those with the best lives, who have been spoon-fed and taken care of, still have trauma. What it is that I feel that is important to speak about in this particular recording is when we are cognizant that everything ain't peaches and roses, we understand that we may experience different levels of growth in a relationship. When we're dealing with one another's backgrounds, or when we're dealing with one another's trauma or anything of that nature, they bring about a different dynamic to the relationship. You can either allow it to grow you or to tear you apart. Not everybody is created and meant to understand what it is you are going through, what it is you went through or you've overcome. But it would be unrealistic for us to believe that nobody will ever. It's not real to believe that. There's somebody for everybody. The point that I'm trying to make is, in identifying that you are someone who is aware of these things in you or in other people, then that is half of the battle. Now, the only decision that is necessary to make is for the individual that has the trauma, what are you going to do to apply the necessary steps to grow? And for the person who loves the person with the trauma, are you going to be the individual that's going to stick with them, stand the test of the time, and genuinely love them through it? Now, I'm gonna be real. I've found myself in the past asking people and begging people to some degree that if I were to have a trauma response, and if I were to reenact or act out on something I may have been through, know that I don't do this because it is your fault. Know that I do this because this is something that I have been through and I'm working it out. So whatever you do, please don't leave me. Whatever you do, please don't leave. I'm working on it. I've found myself in the past explaining that to a few people, to the point where it almost appeared to me like a habit, but it wasn't changing anything, And I knew that it was just a deep desire to be loved through what it is that sometimes I didn't even have the root behind what it is that I was even experiencing or how I was responding. But I always knew that no matter what we went through, my intentions are good. I just need your patience while I grow through it. Everybody is not in that place of loving people through trauma, especially if the person has not shown any type of evidence of them doing the work on themselves. Okay? Relationships are extremely amazing. It's beautiful. I admire them. And everything about them speaks to me and the future that I live. And in my relationship, I acknowledge that things that I worked on were not things that are easy to work on when you're single by yourself. Relationships bring on a different level of recognition towards the things that you need to work on. Okay? Because when you're alone, you can see yourself alone. But when you're together, you can see yourself together in a different light, because it's not just you anymore. But I have seen things that have been reoccurring in my behavior that I do not want to affect my current relationships. I have seen behavior patterns that have been reoccurring come out of myself, my actions come out that I can no longer and will no longer accept. This can be very complicated for those who are not doing the work and unable to identify. I've done things in my past where people just did not get it and thought that I was crazy, when in actuality I was crying out for love, attention, and for them not to leave me. And in doing that work alone and identifying what it was that I was actually doing, it brought me to a place of growth, and it brought me to a place of acknowledgement first, but then I grew to understand it's okay if people leave. It's okay if I have an emotional moment. It's okay if I continue to do the work. I am not less than a woman, less than a wife, less than a mother, less than a beautiful person with an amazing spirit. I'm no less than when I show my transparency of where I am and where I'm growing. Because if you know, like I know, you can have a moment and you know you've probably done something wrong, where someone is not able to accept it, and you will come down on yourself. You will feel like you don't even need to exist. You will just be so heavy. There's just this heavy feeling that come over you that tries to consume you when you feel like, or when someone corrects you that you love, that it's just like, oh, I can't believe I did this, But what I'm identifying is to take a deep breath. Identify where you are presently, what you said to someone else, how it affected them, and what the root is behind what you've said. And I realized that my root is stemmed from fear. Yes, I have overcome a lot of things. There's still a lot to learn. The journey does not end because I'm no longer single. It does not end because of that. The journey continues even in the relationship. But what challenges the relationship is knowing that there are things that I am still working on. And if the individual that I am connected with is the one that has been chosen to trust that I am growing. So if you are an individual who has dealt with any trauma and you identify that, and you're actively working on that, know that it takes a special individual to love you. Know that you were not created for everybody, and no, they were not created for you to drop all your loads off on them, but you have to grow. And eventually you're gonna have to grow with somebody. You're gonna have to grow with somebody. You are loved because you love yourself first. And you will be loved because there is somebody who may not have dealt with what you've dealt with, but they were created to love you straight through all of it. If you show potential to be the individual that recognizes what you've gone through and you are taking an active effort with your partner, just whether it's the affirmations or whether it's just the advice with your partner, then you got this. There is somebody for everybody. You don't want to sabotage relationships. You don't want to sabotage friendships. These things have happened in our past. They happen. But you come to a place in your acknowledgement of your actions where you just grow. I'm challenging you to be encouraged because you are someone